Actually, I can't remember now.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice when you can do that. You've got to tune to KEXP. We're listener-powered radio at 90.3 FM, streaming at KEXP.org around the globe. I'm Cheryl Waters. Lots of friends here in the KEXP studios with us today. It's Car Seat Headrest. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Cheryl.
It is super fun to have you here, and the new expanded edition. You want to do a couple songs first, or you want to say?
I think that sounds great.
All right, start us off with a couple of songs. Car Seat Headrest live on KEXP.
Uncontrollable Urge, it makes me scream and shout. He's got it uncontrollable. I've got it uncontrollable. He's got it uncontrollable. I've got it uncontrollable. It's got sound, it's got class, it's so strong, it can't pass. I gotta tell you all about it. I gotta scream and shout out. Shout out. Because I'm losing control. Uncontrollable urge, I wanna tell you all about it. Uncontrollable urge, it makes me scream and shout it. That's right. He's got it uncontrollable. I've got it uncontrollable. He's got it uncontrollable. I've got it uncontrollable. It's got style, it's got class, it's so strong I can't let it pass. I gotta tell you all about it. I'm gonna scream it, shout it. Hey! An uncontrollable urge, I wanna tell you all about it. An uncontrollable urge, it makes me scream and shout it. I said yeah, yeah, and I said yeah, yeah, and I said yeah. He said yeah, and I said yeah, and I said yeah, 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 yeah. This song is called Fill in the Blank.
I've got a right to be depressed. I've given every inch I had to fight it. I have seen too much of this world, yes, and it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, and I will never see the light that I've seen shining in your eyes. You just want to see me naked, so I hold my breath, I hold my breath, I hold it, hold my breath, I hold my breath, I hold my breath, I hold my breath, I hold my breath. 'Cause 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 'c
indeed Headrest, live on KEXP, fill in the blank from the album Teens of Denial. I never get tired of hearing that song, and how can it be 2 years since that came out?
You tell me.
That's crazy. It's been fun to watch this band progress. And Will, for a long time, you were making music by yourself. And when we first saw you playing live, you had fleshed out your live sound with 4 band members. And now you've not only added some incredibly talented musicians, but you have subsumed an entire band while they still retain their own identity with a brand new album of their own now. But tell me about how the band's grown, and maybe everyone wants to say hi. Everyone here today as a old friend and visitor here to the KEXP studios.
Yeah, well, let's go around first and everybody say hi and say who you are and what you do and your most personal secret.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I play guitar and I sing a little in the background. And my most personal secret is I've never eaten an apple.
That's actually true.
I'm going to say, I'm not sure if I believe that.
I know, it sounds like a lie, but it's
Did you
true.
grow up in Washington?
Yeah, I've never even seen an apple.
That part might be a lie.
I'm Grant. I play a little bit of guitar and some backup vocals. And, I don't have any secrets.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Your life is an open book.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone at home and in the room. I'm Gianni. I'm from a band called Naked Giants. I play the keyboards. Sometimes I sing. Sometimes I play guitar. My secret is, I don't know anything.
We did not prepare for the secret portion of the interview, did we?
Nope.
Now you know how it feels.
I don't know if I could answer that question right now either.
I'm Henry. I play the aux percussion for Car Seat, drums in the Naked Giants band, and I peed my bed till I was 14.
Oh, God.
You can't say that on the radio.
That's the best answer.
Done and done.
Yeah. I'm Andrew. I
How can
play
you
drums.
Top that. Can you top that?
I pooped my pants till I was 14. I don't know.
That I know you can't say on the radio.
Oh, I can't say poop? Oh, no. I'm sorry. We're going to have to delete that. But yeah, I'm Andrew. I play drums. And this is the 7-piece supergroup we've created. We're really pumped about it.
Well, we're really pumped about it as well.
Seth, you want to say a word or two?
I'm Seth.
That's Seth. He plays bass.
He doesn't have a mic.
He doesn't know how to speak.
Yeah, he's never spoken.
Some people can't be trusted with a microphone, but he plays a mean bass. Well, it is so exciting to have you here, and you started off with a couple of great tracks. Loved that version of Uncontrollable Urge. Thank you so much for performing that. And you're going to do a couple of songs next from your new album, Twin Fantasy, but I want to talk about that a little bit. In 2011, of course, you released your first version of that, which was truly and deeply loved by very many people. But for a long time, you felt like that record was unfinished. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that and why now was a good time for you to revisit that. You'd known that you wanted to do that for some time.
Yeah, I did. That was just kind of always the plan for me. I mean, when I originally released it, I had just a very teeny tiny fan base. And I eventually wanted more people to hear it. And as the years went by, it seemed like, if that was going to happen, there'd have to be some sort of reissue at some point. And, I was always gunning for getting signed to a label at some point. So it was like, maybe we put that album out again once we get signed. And then Matador came along, and I kind of just felt like I would rather redo the whole thing than just put out what I had put out in 2011. I guess I never really see a work as finished. If we're gonna go back and revisit it, put it out again, I feel like there's always different things you can do, new things that I've learned in the interim that can be used to just make it feel like it is, I wanted this to feel like a record that is coming out in 2018, not just a re-release. And so hopefully people are responding to it as if it were a new album, even though it's a little less than new.
Now, did the full band only recorded on 1 or 2 tracks on the last album? Is that right? Were you playing everything on the previous album?
On Teens of Denial?
Yeah.
No, Teens of Denial.
That was a full band album?
It was mostly me and these 2 guys, Ethan and Andrew. Seth came in for the last track, and that's when we became a 4-piece. And then that's pretty much how we recorded Twin Fantasy 2. These extra dudes just came in basically this year. Naked Giants was our touring partners, and then we played a few songs with them on stage. It felt good, so I invited them to just kind of with us.
Nice. There were some cool hand gestures there.
For those on the radio, I was doing an integrating hand gesture.
So you toured quite a bit on the last album. Then I understand that you decamped to Chicago for a while. Did you go there by yourself, and what was happening during that period?
Yeah, so we recorded in Chicago. Well, first we recorded as a band, just one track. That was My Boy, first track on the album. And that was in Decade Studios with Adam Stilson, who we ended up, he was the engineer on the full album. But the rest of it we recorded in Seattle, at a Seattle recording studio. And then I went over to Chicago to mix it with Adam, because I like that studio. So there was a lot of back and forth, and I would spend a couple weeks in Chicago, come back here, we'd work up some more material, and then I'd take it back and overdub and mix it. And I was mixing some at home, too.
You produced this album yourself, and I know that you've worked with the producer Steve Fisk before. Was it because this was such a personal, I guess you listen to any of your records, they're all pretty personal, but was it because it was revisiting things? Because I imagine you were quite young when you wrote the lyrics for this, and you've kind of updated them to match what's going on in your life now, like 7 years later. Was that something you had to spend a concerted amount of time doing, and was it a discrete amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the less people that are in the studio, the better. I mean, when we were doing vocals most of the time, it was just me and Adam, and, just one guy pressing the buttons, one guy at the microphone is kind of ideal for me. As far as choosing to self-produce, I kind of always like to stay at the controls. Working with Steve was definitely a learning experience. I really enjoyed it. And I feel like he kind of taught me how to do a lot of this stuff myself. So going out of Teens Denial, I definitely knew that I wanted to take control again of the next record and see what I could do with it.
Well, the big question is, since you've had a chance now to redo something that meant a lot to you, do you feel like you're happy with the result now? Or you mentioned you're kind of never really happy with the way...
Yeah, I mean, I was happy when I finished it. And then every time I put out an album, I get less and less happy with it, I think. And that's sort of the motivation that drives me on to work on new stuff and change directions. But I mean, when I listen to the record, I'm happy with it sometimes. Depends on what my mood is and what system I'm listening to it on.
How does it feel to be playing these songs live? Actually, you've been playing sort of the musical portions of this live for a while. I read an interview, like you said, I'm not even sure I remember what it's like to play the old versions.
Yeah, I mean, that helped us recording because we had some of the songs that we'd already been doing for a long time. Cute Thing we'd been playing, Bodies we'd been playing, Beach Life and Death we'd been playing. And so those... We had to revisit everything to make it work with a 7-piece. I feel like the core of those kind of stay the same. Other stuff, I really had to think about how to adapt it live. Like actually the next song we're gonna play, it's called Sober to Death, but we ended up doing a medley of that and Neil Young's Powderfinger, and also we threw in a little bit of Stevie Wonder, Don't You Worry About a Thing. Just because that was one song we were playing live, and it just always felt a little weird because it's like kind of a classic rock vibe, and it was weird to go from more of a punk rock thing and spend 4 minutes on a almost folk rock song. So I figured instead we should spend 10 minutes on an almost folk rock medley and really commit to that image.
Well, it's fun to give the live audience a different experience than the record, and then they can enjoy both. Yeah. I mean, it definitely was kind of separate conceptions in my mind. As soon as I finished working on the record, I started making up demos for what the live versions were going to be, and those sounded quite different from what was on the record. But yeah, I mean, people will be surprised, I think, at some of the changes that are made, but hopefully we'll enjoy them. And one of the fun changes, I imagine, for you with this expanded lineup is your ability to just sing and dance. And because obviously we know you can play these songs on instrument, but how has that felt freeing you up? I know you haven't done a ton of shows so far as a 7-piece. How's it been feeling? I've really liked it. For me, guitar, it was just,
it was something that I had to do. When we were a four-piece, I felt like it filled out the sound to have a second guitar there. But, I'm just playing chords. I'm a rhythm guitarist, and half the time I'm not playing the right chords. So once we added the new guys, I felt like it was time to just let people who are actually good at guitar play, and I could just freak out in the middle and scream a bit.
Sounds like a good plan. You have just recently released, actually on Saturday, a double vinyl version of the original Twin Fantasy, and
That's right.
That's exciting. Very limited run. Hopefully, well, I'm sure some folks got it. 4,000 people to be exact, so I'm sure they're excited. You have distinguished the two. Now you call Mirror to Mirror is the 2011 version, and Face to Face is the new version. What does that mean to you?
It's kind of it's very deep and mysterious, but there's a Bible verse that closes the second to last song that is a pretty common Bible verse, but I'd never heard it all the way through until a couple years ago, and it kind of struck me in a particular way, and that includes both of those ideas, seeing in a mirror versus seeing something face to face. And to me, it's just kind of stripping back these sort of layers of obscurity, on a sonic level, just the lo-fi-ness of the original, but also kind of trying to make it more of a personal record to me in 2018 and kind of taking away the nostalgia of it, which I think some people, when we first announced this, were upset because, there was already a nostalgia around the album. But for me, it was just important that I be able to connect with it in the here and now. And that to me is kind of what making it face-to-face means.
Thank you for explaining that. When you talk about that, it makes me think about how often I talk to musicians that play their old songs because their fans want to hear them, but they're in a completely different space, different emotions, different relationships, so they have to kind of do some mental gymnastics to enjoy playing it night after night. But you've updated it, and now you can play these new songs.
I mean, I feel like I didn't have to update it too much. I think a lot of it is still, relevant in my life, or, I can connect with what I was feeling at the time. There were just a few things that I wanted to go back and change up, and it feels right now to me.
Well, it's really fun to hear you playing these songs live. We thank you so much for coming into the studio today, and you are going to play a couple songs from Twin Fantasy now.
Yes, we were finally going to play some Twin Fantasy material.
We're live here in the KEXP studios with Car Seat Headrest. Take it away.
Breakdowns. I wanna hear
rifle in my hand felt reassuring. He said, red means run, son. Numbers add up to nothing. But when the first shot hit the dark, I saw it coming. Raised my rifle to my eye, and stopped to wonder why. And then I saw black and my face flashed in the sky. Don't worry, you and me won't be alone no more. Don't worry. Don't worry, you and me won't be alone no more. Don't worry, don't worry. Don't worry, you and me won't be alone no more. Don't worry, 'cause you and me won't be alone no more. Don't worry, you and me won't be alone no more. Don't worry, no, don't worry. Oh, no, 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 I know, but I won't. You and me won't be alone no more. Don't worry. Oh, don't you worry about a thing. 'Cause I'll be standing on the side when you check it out. Don't you worry about a thing. 'Cause I'll be standing in the crowd when you check it out. Don't you worry about a thing. 'Cause I'll be standing on the side when you check it out.
So when the chorus says come, it'll be more rewarding. And I know that I don't talk a lot, but I know that you don't care a lot. As long as we move our bodies around a lot, don't forget that we forgot how to talk. When we dance, when we when we dance, when we
Car Seat Headrest live on KEXP. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Always
Thanks.
so great to have you in studio. Have a great tour. You're heading off in about a week and a half over to Europe.
That sounds about right.
And we look forward to seeing you back here in the Northwest in July. You're playing Timber
Cool.
this year.
That's right.
And then Vancouver and Portland. Can't wait to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Next time we come back here, we won't fit in this room.
No, no. You've got to tune to KEXP Seattle. Wow. That's awesome. Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.